Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to this bonus episode of the X Button Gaming Podcast. So it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. I just got home from a late night shift of work, and I'm not tired, couldn't figure out what to do, and I was thinking about the games I beat in 2024, and realized, you know what, might make some decent content, just going back and reminiscing about some of the games I played last year and seeing how I feel the memories of them held up almost, some of them almost a year later, some of them maybe only a month later, but nonetheless, this probably would have made really good YouTube content, but I didn't feel like recording a video of myself, so we're just doing audio content. So like I said, I'm just going to kind of go through the 25 games that I finished in 2024 and just kind of talk about them a little bit. Then if you have any thoughts on any of these, if some of them are ones you've played and you liked or didn't like them, I'd like to hear from you in the comments on, I don't know, wherever, Instagram, YouTube, Discord. So anyway, let's get into it. So I started the year off finishing Pressure Washing Simulator, which was a game I definitely had gotten into well before in the year prior. And it's still a great game. I love Pressure Washing Simulator. It's one of those things where it's not going to be for everybody. I have two jobs at the moment, and my second job, I do pressure washing at night. So you would think that I'd come home and I wouldn't want to play a game where I'm doing pressure washing. No, it's a lot of fun. I don't know. It's very relaxing. It's kind of cathartic, I guess. It's one of those games that once I finished it, I don't go to it all the time, but I, kind of get that itch every once in a while to just go and relax and play a level and put on some music, and I do, and I enjoy it. It's just very relaxing. It's fun to, I don't know if fun's the right word. It's enjoyable to go around and find all of the areas that you need to pressure wash, and getting them to look sparkly clean is very, very fulfilling. And they keep adding DLC to it too, and all of it is really good. The Final Fantasy levels were really cool. I haven't played like the SpongeBob ones and stuff, but overall, this is one of those games that I think will always hold up if it's the kind of game that you like. For me, it'll probably forever be like what Tony Hawk is to me when I'm in that mode where I don't know what I want to play and I'm just kind of in between games. It'll probably be a gap filler to just kind of, I don't know, fill the noise a little bit. So then after that, I finished Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which if you listen to the 2024 recap episode that James, Jaden, Rodney, and I just posted a couple weeks ago, whatever, that game did break my top 3 favorite games of 2024, and it holds up. I haven't played it again since then, but I thought about this game a lot as this year has gone on. The platforming in this game, the movement, the combat was all just so fluid. If you like Metroidvanias, play this game. It is that good. Story is okay. I'm not going to say it's anything to write home about. But the game itself is just an absolute blast, and I hate that the team that created it got shut down, because I would have loved to have gotten another one of these games. It's just... And I'm not a Prince of Persia fan. I never played... I know it's not the same, but I never played any Prince of Persia games before this. I didn't play the Sands of Time trilogy. I never played any of the older ones. I didn't play the remake in 2009, or the new Prince of Persia in 2009. This was my first entry in Prince of Persia, and I absolutely loved the gameplay in this game. So once again, you're a Metroidvania fan and you haven't played this, do it. The game is cheap pretty regularly. It goes on sale for $20 all the time. And after that, I finished Kirby's Dream Land 2 on the Game Boy Color, but I think I played it on NSO. It's been a year almost since I played it, and I don't really remember anything about this game. It was Kirby. I remember it being easy. But yeah, not much to say. I had played one other Kirby game this year in 2024 as well, and I don't know, Kirby, I like the platforming in Kirby. It's nice and simple. The abilities and stuff that you get are cool. The animal companions you get are cool, but the games themselves I just don't find very memorable, other than the Forgotten Kingdom, the Forgotten Lands. The Switch one was really good. But yeah, this one, I'll get to it in a bit, but the other one I played in 2024 wasn't all that great. They're just okay. Not great isn't fair. They're great entry platformers. After that, I played Mutant Mudds Deluxe on my Vita. Mutant Mudds is like a standard platformer with some puzzly elements. I'd played it before on 3DS years ago. It's not very difficult. There are some like harder levels after you beat the game, but it's kind of just a fun, chill platformer. Yeah, not one I highly recommend, but I enjoyed it. After that was Spider-Man 2. I ended up finally finishing. I think I started it in 2024 and then finished it in 2025. And that came because James, my frequent co-host, Jimmy, he was raving about it on one of the podcasts earlier in the year, and I realized I just needed to go through and finish it. And I will say, like, the first half of the game I enjoyed enough, but wasn't blown away by. The second half of the game, though, was really good. The pacing in the second half is fantastic. All the Venom interactions are, it's just really good. The symbiote stuff was amazing. I mean, it's just, the story is great. It just hit all the right notes. And it's definitely, if you haven't played it yet, assuming you have a PS5, I don't know why anybody wouldn't play this unless they just don't like Spider-Man. Other than that, like it's the Spider-Man games are a must play. And then it was it looks like a little bit over a month that I didn't finish anything else because I was spending all of that time playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This was my 6th game that I finished in the year, and gosh, Rebirth is just, I mean, I gushed about it in this last episode of the podcast. I could go on and on and on and on, but this game is perfection for me. It's absolute perfection. It's a 10 out of 10. The music, the characters, the ambiance, the side characters that they flesh out. Even most of the mini games are a lot of fun. There are definitely some that aren't great. But if you want to hear more gushing about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we did do a review episode earlier in the year, me and a couple of friends, Gary and Allie, and we talked in full about the game. So it's very spoiler heavy if you haven't finished it yet. But overall, absolutely love this game. I spent over 120 hours, and it felt like nothing. Only reason I stopped playing was because I'd done most everything and I wanted to play something else. But I already look forward to going back to this game, and it's barely been a year since I finished it. So this game is fantastic. I know it's not for everybody, but if you like Final Fantasy VII and you haven't played the remake series for some reason yet, just do yourself a favor and play them. The remake and Rebirth both are just phenomenal. After that, a couple weeks later, I finished Overcooked 2 with my friend Caleb. We had started it well before, I think, and just kind of were slowly working through it. And we finished it all. Fun game. If you've played Overcooked, you know Overcooked. It's chaotic. It's frustrating. And you get irritated with each other. But we laughed a lot and had a lot of fun. Then my 7th game for the year, I finished Tunic. So for those not familiar, Tunic is the Zelda-like game where you play as a little fox. And this is one of those games that had been out for a few years and I hadn't played it. And I wish I'd played it sooner. This game it's so charming. I love the difficulty of it because it tells you absolutely nothing. You go into this game, you don't know what's going on. If you've played a Zelda, top-down Zelda before, you have at least the basic knowledge of what you're doing. Swiping with a sword, getting a shield, and blocking attacks. But other than that, you'd have no way to know which way to go. It does not hold your hand. And as you play through the game, you put together an NES-style instruction booklet that kind of feeds hints and like ideas to you of where to go. Sometimes it just straight up tells you things that you need to do, but you don't find that out until you get those those pages of that instruction manual. It's just an incredibly well-crafted game. It's not going to be for everybody because it is quite difficult. I mean, I guess you could use a guide to play it, but that would definitely ruin some of the fun of it. But man, what a game. I absolutely loved it. It's a game I'm going to go back to in the future. It's just a solid game. If you're a fan of 2D Zeldas, there's no reason to have not played it yet. It's pretty widely available. You can get it physically through, I think, Fangamer for like $30, $30 or $40. You can get it digitally on sale. It's probably on Game Pass. It's on PlayStation Plus, I believe. You can get it all over the place. So if you love top-down Zelda games, play this game. It is fantastic. All right, then my 8th game for the year, I went back to a tried and true faithful game that I love to play through on occasion, and that's SteamWorld Dig. I probably played through this game 5 or 6 times. It's one that I'll probably just play through maybe not every year, but I'll get that itch and I'll play through it again. I love this game. The SteamWorld universe has become one of the most well-crafted universes in gaming. I love that SteamWorld Dig 1 and 2 were both Metroidvanias, and then after that they went with SteamWorld Heist, which is I think SteamWorld Heist came out before Dig 2, but that was, like a strategy tactical RPG, I guess. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Kind of like XCOM-ish. I don't know. That might not be right. But then they did SteamWorld, like the World Builder SteamWorld game, and they've done so much in this universe, and it's such a cool universe. I love this team. It's not going to come to me right now, but SteamWorld Dig is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't played these games, once again, these are great games that go on sale quite regularly. 100% the second one is better than the first one. It has, they fine-tune a lot of the platforming. They add more abilities. It's probably a bit of a longer game, but something about the first one just really hits a really fine note for me that makes it easy to just go back to and play it again. And I love it. I think they're both worth playing. If you like Metroidvania style games, it's definitely worth a go. All right, then my man, this is all messed up. I'm such a when I do these stories, I forget to double check, or I double check once and then forget what number it was, and then put the wrong number for what game it was. I think this was my 9th game of the year. I put 10, but that was Nobody Saves the World. This game was done by Drinkbox Studios, who is the same team that did Guacamelee. And I think they did Severed. They've done other stuff too, I believe, but probably their best known game are the 2 Guacamelee games. And this game, quite literally, during our game recap, our 2024 recap episode, we did our top 3 favorite games, and then I forgot what my number 2 was, which was really weird because it was this game. I love this game. There's something. Obviously nothing is for everybody, so I should stop saying, oh, this game isn't for everybody. But this game is so weird. It has that almost like that Tim Burton-y style, slightly macabre feel that he puts in all of his movies, but it's very lighthearted. It's very nothing takes itself too seriously. It reminds me a lot of 90s cartoons. So anybody who grew up in or around the 90s or has seen, some of those really off the wall cartoons like Ren and Stimpy, Angry Beavers, Cat Dog, whatever, they had obviously sometimes they could be extremely crude, and this game didn't really get to that note, but they had this very specific style of humor that was just I don't know, not family friendly necessarily, but just kind of made fun of itself and, kind of poked fun at the main characters a lot. And this game does that a lot. Just very well written. The characters were all very enjoyable, but the thing I absolutely loved the most in this game was all of the different classes you could change into. And when I use the word class lightly, because literally it's everything from a rat to a dragon to a knight to a mermaid and a bunch of other, types of, they're not classes, characters or whatever you want to call it. And each one plays differently. Each one has different abilities. And as you play through more, you can mix and match them together. It was just, I don't even know what note it hit for me, but it hit this perfect note of a game that I just thoroughly enjoyed. I played through it twice in a row, and I don't do that very often with games. It happens on occasion. And this was partially to get the platinum trophy, but partially because I just wanted to play through it again because I enjoyed I enjoyed it so much. All of the dungeons, they're randomized, so every time you go into it, it's different than the time before. It's just a really fun game. I really enjoyed this game. It's one that I definitely want to get physically at some point on the Switch because I finished it. I platinumed it on PlayStation. In the future, when I play through it again, inevitably I want to play through it on the Switch so I can play it on the go or whenever I want. It was just, I don't know that I'd say this game was a 10 out of 10. It's probably an 8.5, but I don't know. It just hit all these notes for me, and I absolutely love this game. I've thought about it a lot since I finished it. If you got it on PlayStation Plus earlier this year, I recommend giving it a shot. It's not, like I said, it's not going to be for everybody. I need to stop saying that, but it is a great game, and I absolutely loved it. All right, then the next game, game 11 for the year that I finished, was when I started going through some of my Vita games, and that was Little Deviants. This game, okay, I always heard this game wasn't great. I think it's better than what I'd always heard. It's a game that showcases the Vita's capabilities. You know, the back touchpad, the front touchpad, the fact that it has cameras, the fact that it has a microphone. It uses all of those things. The what's it called? Because you can move it and move things on the screen. Whatever. It uses all that stuff, and it does so extremely well. I found the games in it to be fun, but overall, it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess that's not a good example. I was going to say it's kind of like saying Wii Sports is your favorite Wii game, but that's probably a lot of people's favorite Wii game. It's just okay. It's just okay, but it is better than people say it is. I truly believe that. It hasn't stuck with me. I don't know that I'll ever play it again, but I enjoyed what I played. Then I played through Tearaway on the Vita. I know this is a game that's also on PS4, but I played it on my Vita. I've had this for a long time, and I decided I need to start going through some of my Vita games. And I enjoyed it. Very charming game. Very, really cool art style with that papercraft look to it. It uses the Vita's capabilities well with the touchscreens and everything. Just a great game, not too terribly long, but I really enjoyed it. It's one of those that I don't know if I'll play through it again for sure. It's not like Prince of Persia or Nobody Saves the World or Tunic was, where they're games I'll definitely go back to. But it is a game that eventually I could see myself maybe being like, yeah, that was fun, I'll give it another go. I just find it hard to believe that it was as fun on the PS4 as it is on the Vita, because it really utilizes all the Vita's features in really cool and unique ways. So if you have a Vita and you're looking for something to play and you haven't played this, I really suggest giving it a try. It's not that expensive either. My next game was... So that was 12. This is number 13, and that was Ender Lilies. So this was another Metroidvania style game. This was my third of the year, I guess, considering I played SteamWorld again. And man, I had a good year when it came to Metroidvanias, because this game was also phenomenal. The music in this game, 10 out of 10. Like, if you're somebody that likes video game music, despite whether or not you've ever played the game, listen to this soundtrack. It's fantastic. The art and like ambiance in this game, also fantastic. I don't know what else there is to say about it. It's a Metroidvania game that gets the Metroidvania feeling right. It plays well. You get a bunch of different, I don't remember what they call them, but like different companion types that basically you use as your different attacks and movements and stuff. And it's just a really good game. Absolutely loved it. I'm excited for the sequel now. Yeah, definitely another one to give a try if you like Metroidvanias. My next game, number 14, was Ape Escape, the original. I played through it on my PlayStation, and I played it on PS4. It was a PS1, whatever. I don't know why I'm explaining all that. Anyway, I played it. I liked it. I'd never played Ape Escape before. It has all that PS1 jank and charm. The controls aren't exactly the best, but I really enjoyed playing through it. I like the level designs. It's one of those games I'm not sure that a younger person who didn't grow up when the PS1 generation would be able to go back and play and appreciate, but it is a lot of fun, and yeah, definitely enjoyed it. After that, I played my Switch for, I believe, the first time in 2024 to play... oh, no, that's not true. Kirby I played earlier in the year. So my second time, and I played through Mario RPG, finally, the remake. Mario RPG on the SNES is one of my all-time favorites. It was the first RPG I ever owned, I believe. I remember I wanted Earthbound, because my friend Nick had already owned Earthbound, and I played it over there, and I loved it. And I wanted Earthbound, and as my sister was going to like a swap meet or something like that, and I gave her a list, and I gave her some money that I had. I was a kid, like 10 or 11. And I said, I want Earthbound, but if you can't find Earthbound, Mario RPG is my backup game that I want. And she ended up finding me a copy of Mario RPG. I fell in love with this game as a kid. It really was the first RPG I ever beat on my own, because this was before Pokemon came out. I believe I played this before Pokemon came out. And yeah, this game was just the music in this game, the characters, obviously Mario, Bowser, Peach are all, characters everybody knows. And at this point, everybody knows Mallow and Geno as well, but fantastic characters that just have not been given enough love by Nintendo, but the fan base absolutely loves them. This remake did a great job with the remake music. I guess you could switch between the classic soundtrack and the new soundtrack, but the new soundtrack is so good that unless you just want the nostalgia sounds of the SNES sounds, there's no reason not to listen to the new stuff. Other than that, my only complaint for this game was the Super Nintendo game. I would never say it was a hard RPG, but it wasn't easy. It was easier than, Final Fantasy VII, and easier than Earthbound even, but it was not a crazy easy game. I hope that makes sense. But this game, man, I beat this game in like 12 hours. And of course, I've played through Mario RPG at least 3 or 4 times. So it's not like I wasn't super familiar with the game, but it just felt super easy. They do a lot of handholdy stuff in this game. So I kind of lean towards the fact that if somebody who's really into RPGs was like, I kind of want to play Mario RPG, should I play the OG or should I play this new version? I might tell them to play the OG because it has the Super NES charm and it just isn't as easy. But if you're somebody who just wants to play the game and you don't care about difficulty, you just kind of want to play through it and finish it, then play this version because it is a great version. I just didn't like how easy it was. But looks great, plays great. It still has all the same feeling of Mario RPG other than just being eased up with some different new features that they added, I guess. And yeah, once again, music is fantastic in this game. All right, game number 16 was a fantastic game that just barely missed being in my top 3, but is plenty of other people's game of the year, including the Game Awards, and that is Astrobot. Astrobot is fantastic. Astrobot is one of the best 3D platformers ever made. If you have not played this game and you have a PS5, you are doing yourself a disservice unless you just don't like fun. I guess if you don't like fun, then don't play this. But this game is just a joy. That's literally the only way to put it. This game is just a good time. It is lighthearted. It is never too terribly hard, but difficult at moments. But it is such a great game, and it is a great love letter to the history of the origin of PlayStation, with so many callbacks to characters from PS1 all the way up to today. It is just a fantastic game. And I mentioned this in the last episode, but the only reason it didn't crack my top 3 is because I happened to be one of the people that actually played Astrobot Rescue Mission on VR. And that made me sound a little elitist. I didn't mean it like that. But, anybody who bought a PS5 played Astro's Playroom, which was a fantastic entry into the PS5, entry point into the PS5, and a great way to show off the DualSense controller's capabilities. And that just gave you a taste and you would want more. And then, so for any of those people, this was their first full game. And this was a great way to experience Astrobot for the first time. But because I played the VR version, I already have played a lot of the Astrobot platformers. And unlike Mario 64 or like Mario 3D platformers, I don't feel like there's a lot of change between the PSVR one and Astrobot on PS5. You compare Mario 64 to Mario Sunshine, to Mario Galaxy, to Mario Odyssey, or Mario 3D World in between. Those games are all very different from one another. Drastically. Yes, they're all 3D platformers, but there are new gimmicks and new different things that they add in to make those games stand alone, and each being somebody's favorite for a different reason. This game, other than the fact that it's not on VR, plays just like Astrobot on the VR. And I loved that game. That game is one of my favorite PlayStation 4 games. Just like this game is going to be one of my favorite PlayStation 5 games. But because I experienced all of that already and knew and understood how good Astrobot was, this game didn't hit as hard for me as it did for so many other people. But once again, that being said, that doesn't take away from the fact that this is a fantastic game. I just happened to play some games that I really loved in 2024 that knocked this out of the top 3. This probably would have been my number 4 for the year, though. All right, after that, I ended up playing Arzette. which is, I played that on my PS5, and this game was a game that was developed and published by Limited Run. Did they develop it? That might not be accurate. But it was Limited Run definitely published this game. And it's made to be a homage to the Philips CDI Zelda games, which, almost nobody has played. I've never played them. But a lot of people have seen clips from them, and they know, how the cutscenes looked, and they know how the gameplay kind of looked in some of them. And this game is kind of, like I said, it's paying homage to those games, but it did so extremely well. I mean, the story's just okay, but the platforming is really good. This is a great, just straight up 2D platformer. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I'd put it up there as far as games that I'll replay anytime soon, but I definitely enjoyed my time with it. It has a lot of charm, and it's just cool to see people going back to other, I don't want to say genres, but art styles, other concepts that have been created through the years, and actually kind of running with that as a design for a new game. And this game really does a good job at that. It's definitely one that I feel like more people should play than probably have. And then, let's see here. My 18th game for the year was Putty Squad. I played through this on the Vita. I got this at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. This game, it's mid. It's not great. It's a remake of an old SNES game, or I guess a Famicom game, because I don't think it ever came to America, but it's been ported to like every console since like last gen. There's just not much to say about this. It's a weird platformer. It doesn't play extremely well. I still played through it and finished it, but I don't know. I don't see any reason to ever recommend anybody play this game. It's just okay. All right, then after that, my 19th game of the year, I picked up the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, and I bought that specifically because I've never played 6, and I wanted to have I have multiple ways to play it, but I wanted to be able to play it through that collection and have access to the other ones too, because I've only ever played through 1 through 5 once each. I've never played through them multiple times. So I figured this would be the way to go back and play them all. And spoiler alert, I started 6 to January 1st. My goal is for that to be the first game I beat this year. But before I started that, I kind of wanted to play it right when I got it and get a little bit of a Final Fantasy fix in. So I started with the OG, Final Fantasy 1. And like I said, I've played it before, but it's been a long time. And this theme, it's not going to be for everybody. It's one of those things where there's not a lot to it when you compare it to almost any of the, after 2, I'd say Final Fantasy 3 forward, there's not a lot to compare it to. It doesn't have, you only have the classes you start with at the beginning, which I think there's 6 or 7 that you can pick from. There's not a lot of story. You're the Warriors of Light, and you got to go find the crystals, and beat whatever his face is. Starts with a G. It's not coming to me. But anyway, not very simple as far as RPGs go. But when you take a second to realize this is one of the pioneers. Sorry, my cat just knocked a bunch of stuff over. Well, this is one of the pioneers of JRPGs. Without Final Fantasy 1, we wouldn't have Final Fantasy 7 or 15 or 10 or potentially even a lot of other RPGs that we got in the years coming. Who knows how the landscape would have went for JRPGs if Final Fantasy hadn't blown up as big as it did. Yes, Dragon Quest was already established, but it wasn't big in America like it was in Japan. This game blew up around the world. And when you play it and just kind of like take a second to appreciate what it is, it holds up well. It does. And this version is obviously a lot faster than trying to play the NES version, which is nice because no matter how well the base gameplay of it holds up, the NES version is slow and difficult. This is simplified a bit. But it's a fantastic game. I mean, I love Final Fantasy just in general, and I enjoyed it. The only thing I wish I would have known is that I could turn off random battles, because when I'd get stuck in caves and try to remember how to get out and have to run into the same battles over and over again, and I've leveled out of the area, so I'm getting no experience, it was a pain in the butt. I wasted a lot of time not realizing until basically the end of the game that I could push a button to turn off random battles. But anyway, game 20 was Animal Well. Another Metroidvania style game, platformer with lots of exploration in it. I don't know that it's really a Metroidvania. But I really enjoyed this game. It had a lot of fun elements to it, really cool art style. There were the eggs that you could find that were hidden all around, and man, were some of those super hard to find. Not gonna lie, had to use a guide to find a couple of them. I don't think I would have found them otherwise. And geez Louise, the last area, I would never have called this game anything but a comfy game for most people. You know, maybe a little difficult, more difficult than most cozy games. But that last area, the boss creature is a thing of nightmares, man. That thing was creepy and took it right out of the cozy game area as far as I was concerned. But yeah, definitely enjoyed it. It's one that I will probably play again at some point. But definitely didn't like it as much as some of the other games I played in the year. After that, I played a game for my 21st playthrough, or 21st game finished in the year. It was a game I was really excited for because I loved the look of the art style in this game, and that was the Plucky Squire. This game, I think I talked about it on an episode a few months ago. This game just looks so good. The concept of being a character in a book, and when you're in the book, everything has got that hand-drawn look to it. Then the art is just so clean and so cool. And then, you end up having to come out of the book. And I love that concept, and you being able to go back in pages to look at different areas differently. But this game was easy. This is an entry-level action-adventure game. If you are a parent with a young child or somebody who's looking to get into Zelda-type games and don't want something too difficult, I would recommend this. But other than that, if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of time and you want to play something, if you want to play a Zelda but you want a challenge, this is not it. This game was just okay, unfortunately. Story was pretty good. But yeah, overall, I don't know. I was disappointed. I was actually very excited for this game, and I was pretty disappointed overall in my experience, other than the art being fantastic. One thing that was really cool is each boss fight has a different gameplay style, and I won't get into all of it, but just as an example, the first boss you fight in the game turns into a Punch-Out style match. Where if you're familiar with Punch-Out, you have to, jab at the right time or block at the right time. And that was pretty cool. All those little mini game style boss fights were really cool. And the game did a lot of neat things, but it just felt like it was lacking, unfortunately. All right, then my 22nd game played for the year was Kirby Squeak Squad on the Nintendo DS. So 2 Kirby games in 2024. And I didn't even remember that I had played one earlier in the year until I was looking through this. So that says something. This game was all right. I don't know. It's only been a little over a month since I finished it, and I couldn't tell you much about it. So, yeah, I don't know. That probably says a lot in itself. All right, then after that, this one I just talked about in the last episode. I won't get into it too much. But my 23rd game of the year was Henry Hatsworth, A Puzzling Adventure, a game that I had wanted to play for a long time, very unique, platformer on the top screen, match 3 puzzle style game on the bottom screen. This game was a lot of fun until the last world, where the difficulty spiked so hard that I, at one point, may have gently tossed my 3DS out of my hands out of frustration, and was not proud of that. Yeah, this game was fun, but man, that last couple of levels really, whew, they were not fun. I wouldn't say they weren't fun, but they were frustrating. Yeah, I don't know. Decent game, though. Then I believe my last game for the year, number 24. Nope, I have one more. I don't think I saved it to this, so I have to go find it, because I have to remember what it was. Game 24. Oh, I remember. Game 24 was Intelligent Cube on the PS1. Pretty fun PlayStation 1 platformy puzzle game. And there is a second one I want to play eventually. I remember I talked about this in the last episode, but I here was thinking I was really good at this game until I realized that you aren't really good unless you can beat it and the moves set on the top of the screen, to which I was never able to beat any levels in that amount of moves. So I'll have to go back to it and really challenge my intelligence. But yeah, cool game though. And the music in this game was very strange. It was like a cross between Star Wars and Soaring Over California. If you've ever been to Disneyland and ridden that ride, very interesting music. It was not the kind of music you'd expect for a game like this. And the last game that I beat in 2024, my 25th game of the year, was Jumping Flash on the PS1. This game is very charming. It's a first-person 3D platformer where jumping is kind of the key to getting around. You do have like a way to shoot enemies. I don't know if it's really a gun. You're a robotic rabbit. But it's a very interesting platformer, a little clunky at times, but for being an early release PS1 game, it has a lot of charm, and I really enjoyed it. Not a very long game. I think I beat it in 2 hours, but definitely worth, if you're looking for like PS1 games to try out that you've never tried out, it's definitely worth doing so. So that was it. 25 games that I beat in 2024. And definitely had a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed this year. It's one of those things, I feel a lot of times like I like everything, which isn't true. The big thing is I curate my collection to things that I'm pretty sure that I'll like. And if I start playing something and I'm not vibing with it, I don't continue playing it. And in turn, I probably don't talk about it much because I have already moved on to something else and I forgot about it. So when I play 25 games and it seems like I like just about all of them, it's kind of just a fact. I will be the first person to admit I'm more positive than probably your average gamer. There's a lot of things that speak to me. I can find things to enjoy in a lot of different gameplay styles and a lot of different games. Sometimes even games that are actually just bad games. I can still find something to enjoy a lot of the time. But this was a good year. I'm happy with the games I played. And for 2025, I have my list of games that I want to get through in 2025, starting with Final Fantasy VI for an upcoming Final Fantasy episode I'm doing with my friend Darren. I'm really looking forward to. So I have to play that in 13 before then, because those are the only 2 Final Fantasies I've still never finished other than 12, but I do not care to play 12 before then. Because I've tried multiple times and I do not love that game. But maybe something will change my mind. But yeah, that's it. So this wasn't too long of an episode. I didn't expect it to be. That was kind of the goal. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close out now. I appreciate everybody who listens to this. Thank you for doing so. Just listen to my solo ramblings for 35 plus minutes. I don't know why anybody would want to, but you know what? I appreciate it. And if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. If you want to share what your favorite games for 2024 were and you haven't done so already, do so. Share them on the YouTube. This episode will be posted on YouTube as well. All the episodes go on YouTube. You can share it in the comments there. You can share it on the Discord. You can share it on a random Instagram post from a year ago. I don't care where you share it. I just want to hear from you. I like to hear what people liked in 2024. And a lot of times when I hear that, I find games that I didn't even know I wanted to play, or things that I kind of had on my list, but your enjoyment and enthusiasm for those games makes me move them up my list. Like on the last episode, Rodney mentioned Halo Reach. That wasn't even a game I had on my radar right now. I really want to play Halo Reach now. He really sold it to me. And Jaden really sold Indiana Jones in the greatest of circles on the Xbox. It was not very high on my list, but now I really am looking forward to playing it when it comes to PlayStation later this year. So yeah, once again, that is it. I am going to close off now, but thank you everybody for listening. If you haven't done so, please do subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Give me a 5-star rating and follow me on YouTube if you haven't already. I really appreciate the support I get there. Yeah, so that is it. Thanks again, and remember to always press X to continue.
I've got my eye on you. So what you hear, play?